So here I am in my Tarptent Rainbow tent. It's not going to work. Which is a single wall. I'm using the silnylon version. It's a couple years old. It's still an amazing tent, I think. It's a great tent all the way around. No tent is perfect. They've all got their drawbacks. Mainly what we've got to deal with is weather, and atmospheric conditions. So in here right now, as you can see out there, I'm still in a fog bank. I'm still in a cloud bank, and have been really all night. I walked up here and it was total whiteout. I walked right into the clouds. So that's the way it is up here. That's why I come up here. I like it. But what's been interesting is that the precipitation in the tent hasn't been very bad. It's not all that bad. Now, the way they build this tent, I don't know if I can show you. You got this one great big wall here on this side. And it's single wall. So this is the tent. That's the outside, the inside, everything, right? So what I bought, and it's the same all the way around, but I bought this extra liner thing here. See if we can get that in the frame, right? Just super, super light nylon. And it forms like a ceiling. You can see it goes behind me, goes all the way up, and then it goes around to the other end of the tent. I guess the idea is to keep the condensation that's going to form underneath it, on the inside of the tent. I think the idea is to keep it gives it something. And I can sit up all the way. That's what I love about this tent. But I think that this inner liner thing right here is to keep the condensation from dripping on you if it gets really bad. And I don't know whether it's a function of the tent is well ventilated or exactly what it is, but I really don't have that much condensation in here. It's kind of interesting. And I'm in the middle of a cloud. It doesn't get much wetter than this, except if it'd be raining plus in the middle of a cloud. And that happens. That happens a lot. But anyway, the big wall right here next to me is the main concern. Because the other wall is the actual screen for the vestibule, and then the tent body is out there. There's plenty of room for a backpack. Put all kinds of stuff, out there in the vestibule. All kinds of room. As far as single-person backpacking tents are concerned. Okay, that's disclaimer. It's all relative. Lots of room means 40 inches across and 88 inches long. That's lots of room in a backpacking tent. So it's all relative. But what I'm getting at is that the only spot that you're going to be worried about touching really is this big wall here. Because it's there and it's right there next to you. And if you roll over a little bit, you're going to be rubbing up against it. So what I do is I bring one of these. I got this in a grocery store. This is like I've shown this before. It's designed for washing cars or something like that. I don't know. It's a synthetic washcloth. On one side you've got a high nap, and on the other side it's a shorter nap. So it's very absorbent and very lightweight, and it dries quickly. Blah, 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 blah. So I use that to wipe off the tent on the inside. Because what'll happen is you brush up against this wall and your sleeping bag is soaking wet now. But having said all that, it's been remarkably dry in here. So, and another thing too, this is nylon 66, silicone impregnated nylon, both sides. Very high quality material. The best you can get in a sil nylon, really, the best you can get. But, people complain about sag from humidity. It's really hard to get more humid than in the middle of a cloud. It's really hard. Got to repeat that. It doesn't get, unless you're submerged underwater, I guess that would be more humid. But I don't experience any sag at all. None. Zero. So, I don't know what to say about that. It works for me, in other words. My only complaint, come to think of it, my only real complaint about this tent is that the floor is so slippery that I literally go surfing around the floor at night, which is, when I first got it, I was like, what the heck? I kind of learned to not move too much. But it's because this floor is so slick. I even put some silicone thingies on the bottom of my sleeping pad, and it really didn't do any good. So, whatever. Oh, it's getting lighter. Maybe the sun's going to come out sometime today. All right, that's my little thing about the silnylon, condensation, single wall tents, and things like that. That's my talk on that. You know, actually, the reason why I wanted to use this tent again is that I have my other, what's this? Anyways, my other tarp tent is the Moment DW, which has double wall. That's what the DW stands for. And I've had that in some heavy condensation areas. And I wanted to kind of gauge between the two, single wall, double wall. Actually, I wanted to do a full-on test. What's going to be better, if it's single or double. Anecdotally, I am tending to like the single walls better. What I found the last time I used my Moment in an incredibly humid section, I think it was Black Balsam. And it's just like this, 5,000 or 6,000 feet, you're in the middle of a cloud, everything's wet. What I noticed was that, the idea of the double wall is that you have the mesh liner, which keeps you from touching the wet tent body. Well, what I noticed was that the mesh liner got wet. The mesh liner was like soaked. So, that effectively reduces the interior volume by a lot. In that tent, anyway. So I wanted to kind of figure out, what's really better here? And I have to be honest with you, with the double wall, you're still getting condensation on the inside of the skin of the tent. But it's just more difficult to wipe it off. You can't get to it as easily. So isn't that weird? Little things that you don't really think about. Like, I better get a double wall tent. Interesting. I'm going to go into that in depth at another time. The other thing with the Moment is that there are two different interiors. One of them is bug netting, and that's what I'm using in the summer. And then the other is a fabric, which is, a lot like this material here. Probably 10 denier, 15 maybe. Very, very, very light fabric. But enough to stop the breeze or slow it down, which is what you want in a cold weather tent. Bug netting, I've used this tent in cold weather, and it's cold. It's cold. It's very well ventilated. There's a lot of breeze coming through all the time. So when you're on the top of a mountain and it's 20 degrees with a 20 or 30 mile an hour wind, this is not your best choice. And that's where the double wall comes in, especially if it's a fabric inner tent. That's the good thing about that. But for condensation, I don't know. Right at this moment, it's a toss-up. But I'm leaning to the single walls. As long as you've got as long as you understand it, it's easier to dry off, is what I'm getting at. Well, that's it for now. Thanks for listening.